Hello, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hi, my name's Zoe. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I really do hope that you decide to subscribe, and if you're a current subscriber and you're clicking on today's video, hello, thank you for returning. Today I am sick, so if I sound sick, I apologise. But I have been ill for the past week and been putting off filming this video because I was even more horrendous a couple of days ago, but now I am feeling more fresh. My child is finally better and back at nursery, so we are all ready to go to film today. Did that make sense to you guys? Because I'm not sure if it made sense to me. So in today's video I'm going to be talking about all the symptoms that I had before my positive test and all the symptoms that I had in my first trimester. So in my 2-week wait, one of the things that I was doing was binge watching all these videos to find out other people's symptoms. So I wanted to come up with a video and talk about my symptoms as well. So if anybody else is going through a similar thing or they think that they might be pregnant, you can compare your symptoms. I just want to say, if you have any of the symptoms that I'm necessarily saying, it doesn't necessarily mean you're pregnant. There's a chance you could be. Of course, if you've missed your period or you're trying for a baby, etc., there is a higher chance that you could be pregnant if you're having these symptoms as well. But if you're having some funny symptoms, then speak to your GP. That's always the best bet. But anyway, I'm going to get into the video because I've been chatting for too long. I'm making no sense, and it's just easier if we get started. So firstly, I'm going to talk about the pregnancy symptoms that I had before I got my positive test. The first thing was I was emotional. Now, I am an emotional person. I can feel my feelings, but during this time I was overly emotional to the point where I was crying in work, and I think I said that in my last video where I was actually testing for pregnancy. One of the things that I was thinking about was the fact that during work I was just bursting out into tears. I was crying, I was angry, I was just overly emotional, and that is not the type of person that I am. If something annoys me at work or if something's going down at work, I don't get emotional, I don't get attached. That's work. I don't normally have any feelings towards that. But for some reason, I was just breaking down crying, and I must have done it 3 or 4 times in that 1 week, which is very strange for me. Like I said, I'm an emotional person. I will cry at films, or if something upsets me quite a bit, then I may cry, but I am not a crier. I normally deal with frustration and anger in a totally different way, but during this time, every little thing that made me frustrated, I would cry over. That was the one thing that made me think I could be pregnant. I literally said in a passing comment to somebody at work, I was like, well, we'll see if I get my period this month, because it was overly shocking that I was being so overly emotional, because that's just not me. So the next symptom that I got was acne. Now, they say a lot of the symptoms that you can get in early pregnancy are very similar to when your period is going to come, but for me this was a little bit different. Usually when my period was due, I'd break out in horrendous spots. They'd be everywhere, but I didn't get my usual breakouts. Like, my skin did not break out. That to me was quite surprising, because I was doing nothing different with makeup, skincare, how I was taking care of my skin. None of that changed. It was exactly the same, and breaking out was almost routine. It was always hormonal and down to being on the time of the month. But that month I didn't break out. I didn't break out at all, I don't think. And that was another thing what was kind of a question mark in my brain. I was like, why am I not breaking out? I did think about it for a brief period of time. Obviously I was trying for a baby, so I was thinking about all these symptoms anyway, but I was just doing my best not to get my head too deep into it, because you just never know. But that was another thing that made me think, could I be pregnant? Another thing was slight cramping. Now, this could be down to your period, or it could again be down to early pregnancy. I would usually get cramping in the days leading to my period, but I found that these cramps were happening sooner than what they usually would. But again, that's not something that I would necessarily pick out and think, yes, I'm pregnant, because it is so similar to your period type symptoms. Now, one of the last and most major things that I noticed before taking the positive pregnancy test was increased appetite. Now, when I say increased appetite, I mean I was getting up in the morning and I wanted to eat chocolate. And that was just not me. I would never usually even eat breakfast in the morning when I first wake up, but I started to eat breakfast. I was actually eating 3 meals a day, which was shocking, because again, one of these people, I will just pick and eat whenever I'm hungry, but I was just constantly hungry, and it was like a deep hunger. I just can't describe it. I was hungry, so I'd eat, and then I'd be hungry again. And I don't know if anybody else has experienced this with early pregnancy. If you have, let me know down below. It just struck out to me like a bit of a sore thumb, and I think that's another thing that I said in my previous video as well. So that was all the symptoms that I experienced in the first maybe 4 weeks. Now I'm going to talk about all the other symptoms that I experienced during the first trimester. Now, your first trimester is from when you conceive up until the last day of your 12th week. So one of the most annoying symptoms that I got was morning sickness, and I knew I was going to get it. But this wasn't just like morning sickness, feeling a bit ill in the morning. This was all day sickness. And I actually had this with Dominic. I think I've spoken about this before on my channel. With Dominic, I was absolutely horrendous. Day in, day out, I was going to hospital. And the only time that it eased was once I'd given birth. I was praying and praying that this wouldn't happen this time around, because it made my pregnancy miserable and I couldn't really enjoy being pregnant. Luckily, this time around, it's only lasted up until about 18 weeks. Since then, I have felt fine. But in that first trimester, it was horrendous. And of course, having morning sickness means you would have food aversions as well, which is something else that I suffered with within the first trimester. Now, the main foods that I went off was meat, and I did find that when I was pregnant with Dominic, I went off meat, and it was really hard to start eating meat again after pregnancy. And then now being pregnant again, I've once again gone off meat. Don't eat it. Can't bear the smell of it cooking. If it's cooking in my house, I will literally like leave my house and not go back until the smell's gone, because that's how extreme it is, and it's still like that now. There isn't really any other foods that I've been avoiding that I would normally eat, but the one main thing is meat. The next symptom is a little TMI, but it's my boobs changed. This happens in early pregnancy. My boobs went a little veiny, and they got that little bit bigger and tender and all that fun stuff. And that happened a little later on for me this time around. I would usually feel changes in my boobs when I was on my period. Didn't really notice any changes with my boobs when I found out I was pregnant. Whereas when I was pregnant with Dominic, I remember having different changes which made me think, oh, I could be pregnant, this isn't normal. But this time around, I didn't get these changes up until at least, I would say, 8 or 9 weeks. I don't know, every pregnancy is different. I did have it within my first trimester where they were more veiny and bigger and tender and sore. The next symptom is one that I mentioned a few minutes ago, and that was cramping. Now, as I went further on in my first trimester, I felt more cramps. Nothing more than your usual period cramps. This is because obviously your body is stretching, your uterus is stretching to make space for that baby, and that is what it is. But I feel like I really noticed it this time around, whereas I didn't much with Dominic. Maybe that's because my body's gone through it once before and is doing the same again, I don't know. But I really didn't notice it the first pregnancy, but this pregnancy I really did. It would cause me a little bit of discomfort, nothing too painful, you know, a hot water bottle, sitting down and relaxing for 10 minutes, it's gone. If it gets extreme, you can take paracetamol. And also, if your cramps are extreme, please speak to your medical provider, whoever that is. because it can be signs of something more serious, but 9 times out of 10 it is just your uterus stretching. So I said earlier that I did not break out, but my next symptom, which must have started around the morning sickness time of things, so around 6 weeks, my skin broke out extremely badly, and that was with acne and also eczema as well, because I suffer with really dry skin, eczema, but usually only certain times of the year. But since being pregnant and still now at 28 weeks, my eczema is bad. I don't know what that is. The doctors have said that's just hormonal, more than likely, but my whole skin from head to toe has been horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. It was fine in them first couple of weeks, but then from about 6 weeks onwards, no, horrendous. It got so bad that I didn't want to be washing with soaps with fragrance in. I didn't want to be wearing makeup because my skin was breaking out with spots on my face, and then all over my body I was covered in dry skin. I found that when I was at work, and obviously working around Greece because I work at McDonald's, I found that that made my skin worse as well. But the doctors have done loads of tests and they said the whole dry skin on my body, etc., the itching, is all down to the hormones in my body, which is something that I didn't have with Dominic. And again, that is very different from the first time around. The last symptom that I have for my first trimester is emotional, hormonal, and that definitely stuck around. As I said, I was suffering with that right at the beginning, and that is how I knew I was pregnant. But it did not ease up at all. It's still here now. 28 weeks and I could still like cry at the drop of the hat at anything. You know, it's just one of them. You're pregnant, you're hormonal, you're entitled to have a cry. Even if it seems silly, you can sit and have a cry. I've cried over some silly things, which I'll not get into because they are a little bit personal, but I have cried over the silliest things. So if you're feeling emotional, hormonal, you're pregnant, just know it is totally fine. You are not alone, because I can't stop. It's like a tap. But yes, that is another symptom that has stuck around right from the beginning. So that is all the symptoms that I had in my first trimester. Of course, right now I am in my 3rd trimester, so I plan to make another video with my 2nd trimester and 3rd trimester symptoms as well, and that will obviously come later on in my pregnancy. I really hope that this type of video was the content you're looking for. I know I'm meant to be doing true crime, but if I'm honest, I am loving being pregnant at the moment. I am loving embracing it. Yes, people are unsubscribing. Not as many people are watching the videos. I am doing this to document my own experience rather than doing it for other people, so I really don't mind. I'm just glad that there are a few of you that have stuck around and shown me love and still supporting my videos, because it makes me feel just blessed. It makes me feel blessed. So my next video is going to be a pregnancy Q&A. So if you have any questions regarding pregnancy, let me know in the comments below, and I might be able to answer them in the next video for you. If you're not already, make sure you're following me on my social media so you can keep up to date with my pregnancy, where I am at now. And I really hope you all have a fabulous week. I really hope you're all staying safe and doing well, and I shall see you in my next video. Bye.